I remember what you did to me. You molested me when I was quite direct and blunt. Introvert children are more vulnerable. Molesters know that. They take advantage of that. This person is my cousin. She is family. I wanted some kind of understanding. And I wanted her to know that I remember. And we completely removed the responsibility of the crime from the criminal. We pass it on to the victim. Some of you are too bothered about what people will say about your family than you are with your child. And I just thank God that I was no longer the fearful and timid person that she knew back then. A while back, I shared a story of how I was molested as a child. First, when I was 5 years old, I was molested by a neighbor who we considered an uncle. And secondly, when I was about 7, 8 years old, I was molested by a female cousin of mine who had come visiting and was living with us in the house. This is more like a sequel to that video because over 20 years later, I had an opportunity to confront one of them. And this was what happened. For my first experience being molested, it was by a neighbor. We were not related, but we considered him an uncle. I'm not even sure I can recognize him today, so I never intentionally made an effort. Somehow there was no need for that. I just tried to forget like it didn't happen. But in the second instance, this person is my cousin. She is family. So there was a need for closure for me. And coupled with the fact that she herself, she was a teenager back then, and I still feel that she must have been molested for her to do that to me and even attempt to do that to my younger one. Somehow I felt like there was a need for a conversation. Well, we both went our separate ways and she never visited, I think apparently because of the guilt. Before she left, like I mentioned in that video, she attempted molesting my younger sister some years later and she was driven away. So she never came back to our house throughout my growing years. When I was in secondary school, university, I didn't even get to see her at all. I don't know if I could have even handled the situation well or if I would have had the courage to confront her if I had even met her during those years. I just don't know that. If you haven't watched the video I mentioned, I'll drop a link to that video in the description box. Please check it out so that you can understand the context of this video. But some years ago, which was over 20 years after that incident, honestly close to 25 years after that incident, our mutual cousin was getting married at Abuja, and I traveled down from here, Benin City, and she also traveled down to Abuja from the village. So when we got there, I saw her and I felt, okay, this is actually a good opportunity to have a conversation with her. One, I wanted resolution, I wanted some kind of understanding, and I wanted her to know that I remember. And let's just have some closure so that we can interact in the future. Even though I was not bitter about it, it was an unpleasant experience. I was always looking forward to when I will actually have I just felt like it would give me some kind of peace as well. And finally, I'll be able to let that chapter go. So when I saw her at the occasion, there was an instance where she was coming towards me and I thought she would come so that I would greet her and that will probably open up the room for further conversation later on. But she saw me and she somehow left the scene. It was after that moment I realized that she was deliberately avoiding me. Every time we were supposed to be in the same space, she would, excuse herself. And I thought, okay, are we going to be keeping malice? The first day came and went. I didn't have the opportunity to even talk to her because she won't stay or come near my space. And she wasn't just very available. And it was obvious that she was avoiding me. It was very obvious. So I think I raised it up with one of my sisters. I'm not sure who now. And the person was like, no, I should just forget it. But I knew having that conversation was quite important to me. So I was still looking for the opportunity. Well, the next day, it was the day of the church wedding, and we were to take the same bus. She didn't even stay in the house where the rest of the family was, and we had to take the same bus anyways. And I was already inside the bus. We went to pick her and her family from another location. When we got there, she was about entering the bus, and I intentionally greeted her, Auntie so. Because the way we were brought up, once anybody is older than you, you call them Auntie. You don't just call their name, right? So I was like, Auntie so and so. how are you? I greeted her. She responded like she didn't see me all the while, which was a lie. So from that moment onwards, I kept seeking for an opportunity to actually get her attention and privately discuss this with her. So at the reception ground after the church wedding, that opportunity came and I went ahead to her seat. I told her I wanted to see her. So she stood up and we excused ourselves from there. And so we had the conversation. I was like, Auntie so. I remember what you did to me. You molested me when I was quite direct and blunt. And I just thank God that I was no longer the fearful and timid person that she knew back then. I just spoke to her like it is. You molested me so time when you were staying with us. Not that she was way older than I was then. So she knows and she remembers. But then she pretended like she didn't know. She told me, no, she cannot remember. I gave her more details when this happened, that day that this happened. She said she couldn't remember, which was a blatant lie. In fact, from her expression, from her body language, she was fidgeting. So when she said she couldn't remember, I can't force remembrance on you. If you don't remember, okay, I will accept that you don't remember. But she now went ahead to apologize that she's sorry, whatever she did to me. That was how she put it and all that. So, yeah. So, yes, I accepted that as an apology. And she was slightly embarrassed. After that conversation, I felt relieved and I finally had the closure that I needed. And that was how that confrontation process ended. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If you have an opportunity to confront maybe a rapist or someone who abused you, molested you as a child, or someone who did that to your child, in the future, let's say in years, you eventually get an opportunity, will you confront them or will you just let it go because it's already in the past? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I know that many times because years has passed, we feel like these things shouldn't be addressed. In saner climate, we hear people being jailed for crimes they committed years back. But in the developing world, most times people are like, why didn't you report it earlier? There are many reasons why a victim may not be able to come out immediately. There may be shame, and sometimes because they don't even understand it, like in my case. Sometimes they are underage and they have nobody to trust. Sometimes they haven't developed a good communication system with the adults in their life. There are just a lot of reasons. And for me, I don't think it's ever too late to confront and, get closure on these things, or to even report to the appropriate authorities. For me, for example, it took me years to even be able to tell my parents what I had experienced when I was a child. After I had my first baby, I felt vulnerable. I felt a new kind of respect for my mom. I was like, Mom, how did you do this? I finally felt like I could discuss certain things with my mom. There was a new level of communication that experience opened up for me that I was no longer ashamed to talk about. So I did talk to my mom as well about this. I won't say I was impressed or disappointed because I wasn't expecting much, but nothing much was said about it. And I feel like parents as well should be educated on what to do when their children come to them with cases like this. What should you do when your son or daughter reports a case to you as a parent? First, believe him or her. Most times, children don't just come up with random stories. A child will tell you what it is, the way it is, most times, right? Also, depending on the age of the child, a child can still lie, right? But there is a very huge probability that this child is saying the truth, and you should address it at that. You can do your due diligence thereafter. But at the point where they are communicating that to them, believe them and validate their feeling. Okay, show understanding that you know how they are feeling and you sympathize with them. Let's stop victim blaming. For example, I can't take it when I hear people asking a rape victim, and what did you wear? Maybe you tempted him, and we completely remove the responsibility of the crime from the criminal. We pass it on to the victim, and I think that is very wrong. Also, don't dismiss the situation. I know you have expressed concern, you have expressed sympathy. don't stop at that. That will close the channel of communication, because your child may begin to get the feeling that, well, nothing happens even if I tell my mom, even if I tell my dad, they won't do anything about it. In some families where communication is poor, because you don't want to discuss around sex, the body, and all of that, you completely avoid the topic of discussion, which in this case is a form of abuse or molestation. And you as the parent, you are the adult, you are the one to handle it. What you are doing now, your children are also learning from you. They are going to pick up lessons from the actions you take and the ones you don't take, that they will also pass on to their children in the future. Secondly, I know as parents, the other part of being docile about the topic is to be overly emotional and agitated and to attack whoever has done it, but you stay calm and process your emotions properly before going ahead to do something about it. It is not really about you, right? It is about your child. So make sure your child is in a good space. Stay calm, assess the situation properly. If possible, get your evidence. I think there was a case some years back where the child reported a molestation, but the guardian of that child knew that she couldn't do much except she has an evidence. So they installed a CCTV camera in the house, and this day they left the child at home, and the molester came around and he wanted to do the usual. So in the process, they got the evidence they needed in court, and justice was served eventually. You may have to hold yourself back from erupting with all these emotions and calmly assess the situation so that you can follow the proper course of action. So after that small moment of calmness, which may be challenging, right? Because I know in the heat of the moment, you are just having all these emotions, you can then go ahead to take action. If there's a means for you to get an evidence, don't dismiss your evidences, okay? The pictures, maybe the video, don't dismiss them, keep them safe, and report to the appropriate authorities. Apart from reporting to maybe the police, you also need to get professional help for the victim, therapy, medical attention in the cases of rape and other invasive acts, immediate medical attention for your daughter or for your son, therapy for the victim, and maybe even for yourself, depending on how traumatic knowing what had happened to your child is to you. So these things are necessary, especially the medical part. A child is raped. Don't keep the child at home. Don't say, oh, I don't want to expose this family member that did this to my child. This is a family problem. Please go to the hospital, right? I think everybody should know that now. There are sexually transmitted diseases that your child may have been infected with. You don't want to risk that because of shame or because you are protecting your own self, because at that point, it is just selfish of you to try to cover it up. Some of you are too bothered about what people will say about your family than you are with your child, and that's just poor parenting. Are you even ready to be a parent if you are that kind of person that will cover up a crime because that will soil your family name? I've heard instances where women don't even report their husbands to the appropriate authority, their husbands that rape their own child. That is your child, for Christ's sake. You can't afford to be covering up a criminal. That man is a criminal, and I don't even know why you still want to remain with a criminal, that you're even protecting the criminal's name. That is, please, let's love our children enough. And if you're not ready to be a parent, if you're not ready for these truths and tough situations, don't have children. Don't have children. But you already have a child now, right? You have to do all you can to protect that child, because that child is vulnerable. Your husband or the relative, the perpetrator, is not vulnerable. So after that process of seeking help and reporting the issue to the appropriate authority, make it a duty to keep the communication line with your child open, keep educating them about boundaries and how to protect themselves, how to prevent such from happening again. If your child is of age, you can give them things like pepper spray, explain how it works for them. Because even though we want these people to stop doing this, sometimes you need to empower yourself to fight them when you don't have an option. When there is no option of running away, you may need something to help you fight them. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in now, where you basically need to fight for your life in some instances. And also let that child know that they've done something excellent by reporting. Because most people that experience these things, they don't report it. So if your child was able to do that, that means you have been doing a great job in parenting them to that point. Let them know that that is excellent, so that in future, they understand that mommy or daddy has got my back. I have nothing to fear and I can, open up. Nobody can try anything with me. And I always say this as an introvert, that introvert children are more vulnerable. Molesters know that. They take advantage of that as well. If you have an introvert child, encourage communication more, both to you and to those around them. Sometimes you have to teach them how to properly say no, how to stand their ground, build their confidence, and resist bullying and molestation, because sometimes it just takes the child to speak up, and the molester will know that, oh, I can't try this with this girl. This girl actually has a sharp mouth. So yes, these are the steps. I think if you have any more insight concerning this topic, please drop it in the comment section. I will love to read from you, and I'm sure many more people will learn from your insight as well. We have come to the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed watching it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. See you in my next video. Bye.